First, set your sewing machine to straight stitch with a shortish length. We'll insert the zipper here, with the seam sewn below it. Hover the presser foot over the fabric and lower the needle. Then lower the presser foot and remove the pins as you reach them. And secure the start of the seam with forward stitches, followed by 2 or 3 in reverse. Then follow the seam line towards the inside leg. Stop about 1.5 inches from the end. Raise the presser foot and cut the threads. Now find the centre front at the top of the zipper and lower the needle and foot. Then, using a basting stitch, sew from here to the start of the seam you've just sewn. This is just temporary stitching, but try to keep the line straight. Stop before you reach the seam, then lift the presser foot and cut the ends. Now place the pants face down, centre the zipper over the seam and pin the tape to your seam allowance. For men's pants, pin the tape on the right. Make sure you pin just through the seam allowance and not through the right side of the pants. Remove the standard presser foot and replace it with a zipper foot. Starting from the bottom, sew the zipper tape to the seam allowance, lining up with the outer edge of the tape and about 1/4 inch from it. Lower the presser foot, then start sewing, removing the pins as you get to them. If you get stuck at the zipper pull, stop if you need to, lower the needle and raise the foot. Hold on to the tape and wiggle the zipper to open until it comes past the needle. When it's out of the way, drop the presser foot again and continue sewing to the top of the tape. Working on the flat with the right side downwards, check you've only sewn through the seam allowance. Then pull the zipper over to the right. This pulls the seam allowance over with it. Make sure everything's lying flat beneath it. Now pin the tape in its new position, catching all the layers underneath. Turn the pants over to see the front and look at the position of the pins. Hand baste this front fly to hold all the layers together, starting from the bottom. Feel for the base of the teeth to work round them. Start with 2 stitches, one on top of the other, to secure the thread. and baste from the bottom of the zipper opening, round the teeth and up towards the top. Use the pins as a guide to your sewing line. When you reach the top, secure the thread with a double stitch before removing your needle. Check the sewing line on the right side, then turn over and make sure you've caught the zipper on the inside, then remove the pins. You could use a template to make sure the top stitching of the fly has a good shape. Cut this from card and use a temporary marker to draw in a stitching guideline. Just hold it in place while you mark around it. Turn over to the right side and using the zipper foot again, follow your guideline and sew the top stitching. Start at the bottom of the zipper opening and drop the presser foot. Carefully follow the guideline, stopping where you need to adjust the position so you get a smooth line of stitching. Make sure you sew round the zipper teeth to avoid breaking the needle. And just follow this line, keeping the work flat with your hands while you sew. When you reach the zipper full, check its position. If you need to, undo the seam so you can move the zip pull out of the way and sew past it as you did before. Then sew to the waist edge. So here's your top stitching line, and for a neat finish, take the thread onto a needle and take it through to the wrong side. Make 2 or 3 small stitches to secure it. And cut off the excess. Now remove the stitches of the temporary seam to reveal the fly front opening. Check the zipper opens easily. Then you make a guard for the inside. Take 2 strips of fabric, slightly longer than the zip and about 2 inches wide, and cut off one corner, creating a smooth curve. Pin along the curved side close to the edge. Put back the standard foot and use a narrow seam allowance to sew the zipper guard. Place the foot over the raw edge and remove the pins as you reach them, securing the start of the seam with reverse stitching. Then sew the 2 strips together along this edge. Don't forget to take out the pins as you go. And follow round the curve, adjusting position to get a smooth line. Stitch to the end and secure your threads. Then pull out the work and cut off the threads. Place the pressed guard on a flat surface and lay the zipper over it. Put some pins through the zipper tape, which holds the guard in position underneath. Keeping the other side of the zipper out of the way. Flip over the front of the pants to the seam allowances. Place a line of pins just right of the stitching line to hold the zip, the guard and the seam allowances together. Remove the original pins and check the new pins are holding everything in place. With the zipper foot back on, you can sew in the guard. Lift the front of the pants out of the way to show the line of pins. Check that you catch all the lower layers. Drop the foot. And just sew on the pin line next to the first line of stitching. This new stitching will hold the guard in place. Sew the full length, remembering to take out the pins. Keep the pants front out of the way so it doesn't get caught. Lift the presser foot to release the threads and cut them off. So to finish off, we stitch the guard to the seam allowance. Pick up the curved section and the seam allowance, lower the foot, and sew a few stitches back and forth to hold them together. And then snip off the thread ends.